I get so excited every time I do these. I swear to God. I love talking. Anyways, I'm just sure you guys pay attention to anything on Netflix. I'm recently new to Netflix, even though I kind of lost Netflix because my son decided to throw a cup at the TV and broke the only TV we have in the house. But whatever. If you paid any attention to Netflix, you've also seen this beautiful documentary by 50 Cent known as the Diddy doc, right? And if you got the time to unpack that, you kind of got to see the good side and the bad side, or some biased or unbiased sides of Sean Puffy Combs, better known as Diddy. And I think that for those who grew up with him, it was kind of a shocker because we didn't realize just how different this man really is. Everybody else was calling him sick, but I'm like, nah, he's just a little different. This is where things got a little interesting for me, because as I watched the Diddy doc, I started finding all these other documentaries that were covering him, and I started following people that I think within the hip hop space that do a good job at covering the story of Sean Puffy Combs. But there was one guy in particular by the name of DJ Vlad, and I'm sure if you guys are aware of him, he is YouTube at this point. But for some reason, Vlad doubled down in diving into interviewing all the people who've been in these freak-offs with Diddy. And now, me, of my freak sexual nature, I could not help but to watch every single one. Now, someone could say this can be a problem, but this storyline was so captivating, I couldn't let it go. So anyways, one of the interviews was kind of interesting, and the guy was with, I can't remember the brother's name. I'll probably put it there, whatever, right? And he was talking about something that I think a lot of men, more in particular, maybe some don't, black men probably don't discuss. And one of the things, as ironic as this is, a man's meat size. Where are you going with this? Stay with me. Y'all know I like to say crazy shit. Just stay with me, please. Diddy loved to be in control of situations, whether it was within business, his money, his bitches, whatever it may be. He liked to be in control of situations. And one of the way he held control of a situation, whether we say it now, was throwing these freak off parties where he hired other men to have sex with the women he appreciates. Now, when this first dropped, I said, like most niggas, oh, hell nah, I ain't about to watch no other nigga pipe down my queen. And I thought this shit was complete asinine. And then I stopped and I thought, I said, where is he going with this? Before we dig any deeper into the Diddy story, I have a story with a former roommate of mine, and he told me, if you were to run a 2-on-1 defense with someone, right, what would be the gender breakdown? And my original thought was, oh, of course, I'm going to have two women. I'm going to be the only guy. But then he told me, Mohammed, the goal of business is to maximize profits with doing the least amount of work. You wanting to take that route is essentially wanting to do more work with decreasing your chance of profits. Mohammed, why are you using a business reference? Long story less long, bring another nigga in because it makes the job easier. Now, at the time, I thought this nigga was complete crazy. This was probably in the midst of my 20s, and I did not lend any credence to it. But as I got older and I thought and I dissected that overall theory, I realized there is no difference between that former roommate and Diddy. You see, when you break down the whole Diddy freak-off situations and him wanting to bring other men into the bedroom, you learn that he recognized his strong suits and his weak suits. He even said in the interview with one of the other blacked, if you guys know what that is, stars, he said that I can give my girl anything in the world except that. Any other man, especially black man, is gonna call that situation gay. Me, personally, you have to know where you're strong and you have to know where you are weak. I think that's the overall conundrum that I think as black men that we kind of fight. Here's the second part to this conversation. As black men, I've never played basketball a day in my life. Well, probably when I was a kid, if you want to count that, but it doesn't mean anything. But you have to understand, when it was time to pick people on your team or any athletic sport at that, people would generally pick me just off the color of my skin because you're expected to perform at a certain level because they're like, oh, you're black. We know you can run. Hey, you're black. You run like Speed, right? Comes to find out, that's not all of us, bro. And one of those stereotypes, pick it up without me picking it up. Please stay with me. Not all of us are freakaholics. It's just not going to happen. Not 100% of us. I would even arguably say that probably 30-40% of us are probably on that major freak scale that are going to perform with the right itinerary and the right stamina to keep the show going. But that's not 100%. If you were to go to work and your boss only gave you 40% of your check, or you had a client and you guys agreed on an amount and they only gave you 40% of it, you would say, where's the rest of it? And I think that's the same percentage when it comes to overall black men being these mandingo freaks within the bedrooms or within the relationships with women. And I can wholeheartedly say, I'm not in that 40%, I'm in that 60%. Let's take this back to Diddy. Diddy recognized his strong suits and his weak suits. And I have to lend credence to that. Now, do I support domestic violence? Fuck no. I mean, I'm not stupid. I have to give the man some kind of credit for recognizing where he is strong and where he is weak. It's important for us as we get older is to learn how to outsource the tasks that we don't know how to do. If you know you can't do it all and you can't do everything, it's okay. You're not a bad man for not knowing how to do everything. Now, in your 20s, gender aside, guys and girls, whatever it may be, whatever the fuck you want to identify at in 2026, we all think we can do everything. But the important part about your 30s is recognizing that time is a finite thing. And it's important for you to give your time to the people, the places, the things that you kind of already have a strong suit at. Now, does that mean you don't try anything from ground zero? No, of course, I'm not saying that. We're not stupid here, but it is also important for you to recognize that it's important that you know that it's not your job to know how to do everything. Recognize where you are good in some things. Through this entire breakdown, I kind of learned what overall love and sex and relationship overall meant. And I learned that the moment you can separate attachment from love, you will officially be in the space where you can finally be in love. If it's something I learned that over the past 2025 is that the difference between love and attachment is so thin. The demarcation line where one begins and one ends is very hard to see. And I think that you cannot say you truly love someone until you can understand or fathom the idea of you not being completely attached to them. I think that whether it's through early Disney Pixar movies or whatever they may be, I think we get caught up in this realm that the person you love, you are the only person that can make them happy. You are the only person that can perform for them. You are the only person that can reach their spot. But as I've started to reach my 30s, I started to realize that is a fugazi thought to think that I am the only. And it's honestly really selfish for me to kind of really break it all down. I knew going into 2026 that I cannot do everything. I cannot do everything for a partner emotionally. I cannot do everything for a partner psychologically. But what I'm really saying right now is that I can't do everything for a partner physically, which allowed me to understand why this overall cuck conversation took place. This cuck, if you're not familiar, a cuck is a man who is essentially attracted to the idea of the person they're attracted to having sex with someone else. Now, I'm not here to show whether what is right or what is wrong or what is okay or what isn't, but I know more times than not, most men are going to laugh me out the room on this idea. But as I get older and understand, I realize that sometimes it's just a little bit more interesting to stop, to listen, to watch, and to be a fan of the person you were physically obsessed over at one point, if you currently are today. What Diddy was essentially going through, my opinion, is the fact that he became overstimulated with a person, and he wanted to make sure that they reached that joy by any means necessary. I want to state again, I'm not talking about the domestic violence. That's crazy. We all saw the video. We all saw the fucking video. But outside of the video, I really do think it is the most respectful way as a man if you can sit wholeheartedly and say that I know at her heart, her mind, and her thoughts and her opinion is something we share. When it comes to that physical interaction, it's something that I want to do, but also I want to watch. This could be my inner videographer, photographer, and the visual stimulation side of me taking effect, but I personally see no problem with somebody identifying as a cuck. And to take the step even further, I think that more men should step into that. Now, if you think I'm wholeheartedly wrong, throw it in the comment section. But what I also do believe, I think that as a man, Or is the man you idolize that also agrees with this opinion and agrees with this idea, but guess what? They're not going to say it because they're embarrassed of the looks of other men. Something I've recently picked up is I love content from Diamond Gym. If you guys haven't seen Diamond Gym, it's this overly hyper masculine gym where essentially men get together and insult one another into reaching their overall goals, their physical and training goals. And I think it's beautiful. I think in some instances, I think that we need more of that. I think we need more men leading men in that space. I think if you were to probably go to like an Alabama State gym, I'm pretty sure it gives that same type of energy. But I think in places like Diamond Gym, I think in places where it's men surrounded by men, for better or worse, I think they reach their best levels of performance. If we're going to be that honest and scream at one another in a gym, in a physical space, let's also be that honest with one another about the things we like and we don't like intimately. Now, I'm not saying you got to pull your homie shit out and be like, hey, let me see what you're working with. I ain't going there with it. But what I'm also saying is that I think that I'm not the anomaly here. I think that I may not be the majority, but there's more of me than you think. At some point in time, we're going to look back at this video when the 90s babies, millennials, start approaching their late 40s and 50s, and they're going to start realizing that shit Mohammed was on back in the day with the whole cuck conversation was ahead of its time. Sometimes it's not about you wanting to be the Mandingo and taking down everything all the time. Sometimes you want to sit back, make a drink, pour a shot, and then just watch your girl reach that level of what her peak may be. That does not mean that she does not love you. And that also does not mean they love each other. It just means that's a moment you got to witness from the outside, which is why in the realm of things that we can diss Diddy for, this is not the one I'm going to stand on. I'm sorry. I just wish Diddy would have made the bold move to say the things he liked and he enjoyed rather than it coming out in these documentaries and these interviews from DJ Vlad, somebody who's been part of our hip hop culture, but he could have said it and got ahead of it. It's very similar to Tyler, the Creator, and him flirting with the idea of being gay. Once you own your identity or you own what you like or you own what you really believe in, nobody can use it against you. But once you hide it like the generations before us, hey, guess what? It will be weaponized against you. This overall year, I'm going to be summarizing a lot of my views in this anti-alpha conversation. I think there's more beta-like men, similar to myself, in this day and age. But if you say that you're not the alpha, you'll be viewed as the bitch. And beta does not mean bitch. Beta means you know your role in the play and you know how to either add to it, subtract to it, but overall know how to make it better in a much quieter way. By no stretch of the imagination do I sit up here and I call myself the most alpha nigga running everything I go into. In fact, I will say the complete contrary. I think I talk a lot and I think I have views, but I will not say I'm alpha. So when I'm sitting up here and I'm having a conversation about the alpha, understand I'm not them. But it does not mean that the beta type shouldn't have a voice. And I'm here to speak on some of the beta-like behaviors. That's going to be my focus of 2026. And if you view me as a bitch for doing that, so be it. I hope you guys got an idea on the type of time I'm on in 2026. I don't view Diddy's cucking as a problem. I don't view cucking at all as a problem. I don't think if you don't have the biggest dick, guess what? It's okay, my nigga. If you're not the strongest nigga in the room, it's okay, my nigga. If you're not the richest nigga in the room, it's okay, my nigga. Because guess what? At some point, it's important for that person who does have it at that moment to recognize where they stand on the totem pole. And I want to be the person to teach niggas to figure out, look, you don't have to be the alpha. There's nothing wrong with the beta. Learn where you stand and grow from it.